Here is a change. There are no extraordinary acts on the parts of these two Adiyas that we are about to look at. Theirs were pretty docile acts, but mighty powerful to melt the hearts of people and to make Shiva happy. Yes, they resorted to mellifluous music, and that too in Tamil. Haven't Sambandar, Thirunavukarasar, Sundarar and Manikavasagar sung in praise of worshipping Shiva through music? For Shiva himself is a form of music. Let's now look at the hagiologies of these two Adiyas who were experts in this divine field of music and used their expertise to worship the good Lord. AANAYAR Puranam. AANAYAR was born in a family of cowherds called Ayar or Idayar. He lived in Thirumangalam, a village in West Malanadu of Cholanadu. He was the chief of the Ayar clan and an ardent devotee of Shiva. He always wore the sacred ash and took to service to Shiva through all three means: mental, vocal and physical, manam, vakku, kayathal, thondu. Along with his cowherds, he would lead the cows to the grazing field and ensure that they fed on clean grass and drank pure water. Thu naru men pul arundi virumbiya thu neerundu. They grew in number. He would categorize them into yielding cows, expecting cows, just delivered cows, young calves, and render appropriate treatment to each category. In addition to being an expert in his own family trait of cow care, he had a God-given talent in music. He brought out music that would melt anybody's heart from that apparently simple-looking hollow stick of bamboo with holes. Yes, the flute. On one day, dressed up with flowers on his head, sacred ash on his forehead, a stick in one hand and that divine flute in the other, he walked up and came under a kondrai tree. The kondrai flowers reminded him of his Lord Shiva, who wears them regularly. He became emotional and ecstatic, put the flute on his lips, and forgot himself. The floodgates of the flute opened, and captivating music flowed out. நின்றதொரு கொன்றையினை நேர்நோக்கி நின்றுருகி ஒன்றிய சிந்தையில் அன்பை உடையவர்பால் மடை திறந்தார். The holy Panchaksharam, soaked in honey-like music, poured out of his flute in so many versions with such devotional melody and rhythm that the flora and fauna of the forest seemed to have been caught in a trance of Shiva consciousness. Cows stopped chewing, calves didn't move for their milk, birds didn't fly, gods, angels and attendants in Kailayam came down. The fighting ferocious animals stood in friendliness. On the whole, there was yogic stillness all around, except for the bone-melting music of Panchaksharam that flowed out of the magic flute of AANAYAR. How could music-loving Shiva then did not hear that? Of course, he did. பொற்பொதுவில் நடம்புரியும் ஐயன் தன் திருச்செவியின் அருகணையப் பெருகியது. He promptly appeared before AANAYAR and bade him to go to heaven just as he was and with his flute, so that he might listen to him every day in heaven. திருக்குழல் வாசனை கேட்க இன்னின்ற நிலையை நம்பால் அணைவாய். It is astounding to note the sweep and depth of secular's knowledge of music and musical instruments. It deserves a deep study and research. திருநீலகண்ட யாழ்ப்பாணர் புராணம். திருநீலகண்ட யாழ்ப்பாணர் was from a caste that was devoted to music. He was an expert in playing lute, a stringed musical instrument called yal. He was living in Thiru Another expert in music by name Madanga Sulamaniyar was his wife. They went on a pilgrimage to all holy places. En route, they reached Madurai. Thiruneelakanda Yalpanar, coming as he did from a caste then considered to be lower, could not enter the temple of Alavai Annal. Yet, he stood in front of the temple and performed. The performance was so moving that Alavai Annal appeared in the dreams of his Adiyas and told them to bring Panar into the sanctorum. It was done, and again Panar was rendering his soulful devotional songs sitting on the wet floor. திரிபுரம் எரித்தவாறும் தேர்மிசை நின்றவாறும் கரியினை உரித்தவாறும் காமனை காய்ந்தவாறும் பரிவினால் பாடக்கேட்ட பரமனார், the Lord the Perfectionist, commanded that a plank be given to him, lest the lute might get wet and lose its quality. Thiruneelakanda continued his pilgrimage and reached Thiruvarur. There again, the Lord of Thiruvarur gave him a special treatment by asking him to enter through northern door. வாயில் வேறு வடதிசையில் வகுப்ப புகுந்து வணங்கினார். Panar stayed in Thiruvarur, making his musical offerings to the Lord every day till he heard of Thiruஞான சம்பந்தர். He quickly moved across to Sirgali and called on the child prodigy Samandar. Samandar was enchanted with the skill of Panar's playing on the lute and readily acceded to his request that he might be permitted to accompany him on the yawl when he sang in various shrines. Samandar also let him set his compositions to music. Thus started the close friendship and affinity between the lofty orthodox Brahmin Thiruஞான சம்பந்தர் and the lowly Thiruneelakanda, and it lasted till they both entered the holy effulgence that came out at the wedding of Thiruஞான சம்பந்தர் at Perumanam. There are a couple of incidents connected with Thiruneelakanda which Seklar has included in the hagiology of Thiruஞான சம்பந்தர். When Samandar and Panar reached the hometown of Pana, his people quite unwisely boasted that Samandar's songs were enhanced only by Panar's accompaniment. Panar was terribly upset. He pleaded to Samandar to sing a song for which he would not be able by any means to accompany with his yawl. Samandar obliged him by singing a decade set to a special pun or raga which came to be later known as Yal Muri Pan. Panar could not follow Samandar, and out of desperation, Panar was trying to smash his instrument against a stone pillar. அப்பதிகத்து இசை நரம்பிலிட அடங்கிற்று இல்லை. Samandar, of course, consoled him and persuaded him to continue accompanying him. The other incident is the one in which Thiruneelakanda, a chaste Brahmin, while playing host to Samandar, setting aside the caste difference, requested Panar and his wife to come and sleep inside the house, and that too near the holy fire pit. Thus, Seklar has brought about an integration of different castes through Saivism.